Sarah and I am the proud owner of Cloth of Gold. It established in 1987, and for those of you who are good at quick maths, I am not old enough for that. However, I am its fourth owner in its little history, and I got this dream when I finished my fashion degree about 10 years ago to own a fabric shop. Well, here I am now, the proud owner of a fabric and wool shop, and I am very excited to see my online shop, my bricks and mortar, and my social media presence growing steadily. So here, welcome to my how-to videos for knitting, crocheting and sewing.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the video about casting on using the standard method. I have here a nice ball of Big Value Chunky with 6mm knitting needles, and they are the perfect pairing. Should you want to find out more about yarn versus knitting needle ratios, please check out the relevant video. Now, to get started, we need to find the tail of the yarn. So we've got to grab the tail here, and we're going to make what's called a slip knot. So we're just going to lie it out here for process. So we're just going to tuck that yarn over to make like a loop there with a little tail. We're going to pull it back across over that working yarn and just pull it through. So now we've got what's called a slip knot. Now, you don't need such a big tail as I've created, but as I've done it on camera, it's quite a large tail, and we're just going to leave it. We're going to use that working yarn and just pull that stitch nice and tightly on that needle. We're going to put this needle now into our left hand. Using the right needle, we're going to push it through that stitch that we've just created on that needle underneath. Now, the best tip is to not grab that tail. We need to grab the yarn that's attached to the ball, you can see here. So we're going to loop that one onto the right hand needle. Using that right hand, we're going to loop it on. Loop it on like that. Then we're going to tuck it under and pull it through like so. There we are, and we're just going to use that pulling on that working yarn to tighten it back up. I'm going to go back through that next stitch we've created, so the second one onto the needle, nearest the end point. We're going to tuck it underneath like we did before, stab it through, loop it round, pull it through and pull up. And pull nice and tight again on the needle. And we're going to do it again. So underneath that needle, loop it round, pull it through, pull up high, loop it onto the needle and pull tight. So now you can see we've got 4 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 stitches. So your pattern might say cast on 20 stitches. So cast on 20 of those stitches. Your pattern might say count 120. Cast on as many of those little stitches as you need. And it's the same process all the way to the end. Welcome back everyone. So I guess you're wondering, well, I've cast some stitches on, now what do I do next? So in this video we're going to teach you how to knit into that first cast on row. So you're going to take those cast on stitches and put them into your left hand, and then take your empty needle and put it into your right hand. So using that right hand needle, we're going to tuck that under that first stitch on that left needle underneath like so. Now we're going to use that working yarn and we're going to loop round on that needle. Then we're going to pull it through underneath like so, so that we've got it here. And then we're going to push this stitch off the left needle. So we're going to push those stitches forward and we're going to pull it off. Now we're going to go into that second stitch that was on that left needle and tuck it under, loop round, pull through, and then we're going to push that off that left needle. So we've got now 2 stitches on this side and 8 stitches on that side. So we're going to tuck that right needle under that left loop again, loop round, pull through and pull off. Now we're going to work that all the way down, all the way through those 10 stitches. So we're just going to loop, push it through underneath, loop round, pull through and push off. Tuck under, loop round, pull through, push off. Now you're going to just keep going until we get to the end of the row. There we are. And now we've got all 10 stitches onto that right hand needle, and now we're going to swap them over. Now, because we're doing garter stitch, we are going to knit that next row. So, with those 10 stitches, with a cast on and that first knit row, we're going to pick that up again and put it in our left hand. And we're going to take that empty needle and get it into our right hand. Now, this is where it gets a bit confusing when your tail and working yarn are next to each other. So do make sure you try and separate them so that you don't work with your tail, and make sure you work with your working yarn. So push those stitches nice to the end of that left needle so it makes it easier to work. And we're going to do exactly the same process again because we're knitting both rows to create a garter stitch. So we're going underneath that first loop on that needle. Using the working yarn, we're going to loop round and we're going to tuck up under and pull off again. So now into that second stitch. So push through, loop round, pull through, push off. Tuck under, loop round, pull through, push off. And you're just literally going to do the same every single stitch and every single row because we are creating what's called garter stitch, which is knitting every row. If you want to learn how to do stocking stitch, please see one of my other videos. So as you can see, I've knitted all those stitches and now I've got them in my right hand, so we're going to swap again. So we are going to push underneath, loop round, tuck under, push off. Push through, loop round, tuck under, pull off. So push it underneath, loop round, pull through, push off. Underneath, loop round, pull through, push off. Now keep going again all the way to the end, keeping that nice good rhythm of push underneath, loop round, pull through, push off. Loop under, loop round, pull through, push off. Loop under, loop round, pull through, push off. And just keep getting into that rhythm. Now you can start to see we're going to getting some nice bumps on both sides of that knitting. So I'm going to fast forward so that I do a couple more rows just to show you what it looks like. As you can see, I've done now quite a few rows of knit stitch on both sides to create a garter stitch. You can see that all the bumps have now started to kind of get a little bit closer together compared to when they started at the beginning of the row on that cast on edge where they were a bit looser apart. Now the great thing about garter stitch is that it doesn't curl on these edges, so it stays nice and flat. The only downside I would say to garter stitch is it is a bit bulkier, but if you are looking for that kind of thicker, warmer knit, then garter stitch is great. It's great for watching telly because all you've got to do is just knit both rows and you can create something really simple, quick and easy. So I hope you've enjoyed our video on how to do knit stitch and on both sides to create a garter stitch. Thank you for watching.